The best way to experience classical music, no doubt, is live. You get to watch the music as well as listen to it. Watching the conductor, how he moves, where he points, but even more the musicians, the way they gather their instruments, move to the music, the way their strings bow together. You're seeing the music visually at the same time as hearing it. It isn't just live, it's alive. With the advent of digital culture, when we can see and hear classical music anywhere, anytime, you might assume the next best option is live versions on YouTube, of which there are thousands. That's great, but I always feel my eyes being led by the TV director. They may be sympathetic and sensitive directors, but they're automatically controlling our view of how we hear the music, which can feel a little restraining, say for example if you're more interested in watching musicians than a bald head. So, could I offer you an alternative? An alternative which YouTube has, scores of examples. Scores! To use a music score, you don't have to read music. You just need to see shapes. I'll show you what I mean. Check out this finale of Beethoven's 7th. Now, we're looking for this up and down musical shape, which corresponds to this up and down musical idea. That's rather quick, so here's that one more time. Now, you don't need to read each note of this phrase to understand it. You can think of it just as a shape, a visual shape. Now, watch as that shape gets hurled through the strings. The score makes it easier to see what those hard-to-hear violas are doing. Congratulations, you've just read a musical score. I first got into classical music listening to Beethoven's symphonies, and I got into those symphonies by following scores, which by the way I had to steal, photocopy and then return to the university library. Now, not everyone can read music immediately, I know, but it's not as hard as some people think, and there are also advantages in today's modern world. I used to get lost regularly as I tried to follow the score, turning pages. Nowadays, pages turn for you in time on the screen, so you always kind of know where you are. My word, some of them even scroll to the music. Luxury! Now, not everyone can read music, I know, but even people that can't read music can kind of read music. Each note is a dot. Higher dots means the notes go up, the pitch goes up, lower notes down. Okay, so look at a score. On the left are instruments, and we read left to right, much as we do with English. However, the entire page generally represents a descent in pitch as we go down. The score is also locked into orchestral sections. We have the highest pitch section on the top, the woodwind. Generally that goes flute, oboe, clarinets and finally bassoons at the bottom. And by the way, note you may have to deal with Italian or German names for instruments, for example fagotti for bassoons. Scores make it much easier to hear and identify the difference between instruments. For example, listen to this section of Beethoven's 3rd here, now here, and see how it gets tossed around the wind section. The score helps visualise the music for us and makes the identification of instruments so much easier. Okay, next section down the page is brass, again broken up in pitch by horn, trumpet, trombone and tuba. Next comes percussion, and note the piano counts as a percussion instrument because you make a noise by striking a string. If you doubt that, check out Prokofiev's use of the piano in his 5th symphony. Okay, back to the score. Now, the bottom part of the section is probably the most important part your eye will probably follow the most, the strings. Again, the sections divide downwards in pitch. We have, first of all, the violins, which are usually split into 2 sections, first violins, second violins, then we have the violas, then the cellos, and finally, deep down the double basses. Now, you don't always write out every instrument in the score, so watch out for these markers, which is the equivalent of a new page. It shows you a new page is beginning. Now, it's really important to realise you don't have to focus on everything when you're reading a score. I mean, that's the conductor's job, not ours. We're just left to see whatever shapes our attraction on the page. Take this excerpt from Beethoven's Pastoral Symphony. The score shows you the music, the pumping of the horns, and that flurry of strings. Have a look again. And then, as the movement progresses, Look how we can identify the strings, that oboe on top, and the bassoon slotted underneath. Using scores can also make you aware of parts of music you didn't even realise were there. For example, in this section of Beethoven's Ninth, which can get lost if you're following the main tune. Here's a version where they're separated. It's a beautiful little section that can get lost in the overall sound. So, consider following scores when you take a closer look at a piece of music you may know. It allows you to experience the music visually whilst describing things you never realised were there. Thank you and subscribe.